Welcome back to the channel. My name is Marco, and today I am posting a video regarding my ideas of upgrading the Grand Archive Diana starter set. For those of you unfamiliar with Grand Archive, it is a trading card game, and in their most recent release, they had two starter sets, one for a character named Ciel and the other Diana. I've been using the Diana starter deck for a couple of weeks now, and while it's a fun deck to use, I've had trouble being actually competitive with it. So in my last video, as you may have seen it, I opened up a box of the Distorted Reflections booster packs, got some cards from that, so I'm going to try to now upgrade the starter set. But before I do that, I kind of want to first touch upon what was in the starter set and then what I'm going to be doing to improve it. So for starters, I'm going to show off here the material deck that comes in the Diana set. So we start off with it starts off with the water. Starts off with the water element. For my upgrade, I'm probably going to move away. Actually, I will be moving away from the water deck. I'm going to try one of the other elements, but I just want to show off what it comes with in the deck so that people kind of have an idea of what I'm changing. So again, we're starting off with water here, but that will change. Then we have the three levels of Diana. So she starts off as a normal, then another normal level 2, and then she goes to Astra. For my deck, I am going to keep her as an Astra. I don't have enough cards on the Umbra or any of the other secondary elements that I can kind of upgrade, so I will be keeping her as an Astra, and I think I'm fine there. As we get into the the actual starter set, I'll kind of go into more detail there. The other materials that are in this pack, let me start first with two of the weapons that come in the starter set. The first one is a water. It's an Aqua Mirage Whisper. It's a Ranger Aetherwing. This actually is a really good card, and when I was playing, I was trying my best to kind of like have this as my starting weapon because of the fact that here on hit glimpse 1+X. So this was helpful that after I attacked, I could look at my deck and kind of see what I had coming up, and then if I wanted to, I could move cards around. Even though that's good, the rest of the win stuff that I'll show off in just a little bit wasn't that helpful, or at least I don't know how to properly utilize them, so I'm deciding that's why I'm going to change from a water to a different element. And then the other weapon, the other main weapon is the Astra Pleiades Celestial Genesis. This is another great card. This one I probably will keep in the set, in my deck, so this one I'll keep to the side. The rest of the material for this set is, this is where I probably will only remove one card from here, but I'll kind of show you everything that comes with it. So if you're curious about the Diana deck, it is here. So we start off with Bauble of Abundance, Foresight Lens, Ranger Boots, Reflexial Ribbon, and Reflexial Ribbon, Seeker's Aetherwing. This is a decent weapon, and I'm probably going to still keep this one, but I'm going to probably add one more weapon, which I'll kind of get talk to about in just a moment. And then Terrafring. So of these cards, the ones that I'm probably going to alternate, or not alternate, but swap are going to be Terrafring and Bauble of Abundance. Terrafring is a good defensive protection card, I think, because of the fact that you prevent your opponent from attacking you unless they pay 2 cost for every attack. So it's worth it to keep, but I want to see what I can do without it. And then for this Bauble of Abundance, because it's a draw card, some of the cards that I'm going to try to replace will have draw mechanics. So I don't really need this one. And because of the fact that this one, it says here, each player draws a card, I'm actually giving my opponent a slight benefit as well. So maybe if I play against someone who has something similar and they're using it, then I'm not too concerned about that. So those are the two that I'm probably going to remove. But before we go into that, let's kind of highlight some of the other stuff that's in this deck for those who might be curious. The deck's broken up into 3 sections, which I'm going to be showing off here. Let me just... So again, it has 3 parts. You've got your normal cards, your water cards, and your Astra cards. As I was stating, the Astra cards I am probably going to keep as is. I have about 2 or 3 that I got through packs, cards that I got through packs that I could probably either swap or adjust. I think here there is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 cards. So a third of your deck is Aster cards. So it's pretty substantial. Of the water cards, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 cards. Here, the one card that I really did like using was this one's Corsair Captain. He's a strong character because he's got, 3 health, so he can help with, protection if necessary. But the thing is that I was not really taking advantage of the ranged material options for these cards. So it doesn't make sense for me to really use this, although I am going to probably be replacing him with other cards in the other elements that do similar objects, similar stats. The rest of the cards, I really maybe it's because I don't understand them so much. This Dissuading Ether, its benefit is that it has a -3 on attack, so that means that when you put it onto an opponent, their attacks are useless, especially if they only can attack up to 3. So it is helpful there, but other than that, the one card here that maybe I just don't understand is this here. This, again, I guess because of my inexperience in the game, it's this Drown in Ether, where it says targeted rested ally gets -3 until end of turn. Then you may load this card into the Aetherian weapon you control. I'm assuming what you have to do with this card is that with your champion, after you've attacked with your champion and they're rested, you would put this -3 on them, so they're temporarily, let's say if they have at 15 health, they would go to 18, because in Grand Archive your health goes up rather than going down. So that's something I think would be where I would use it, but I just never felt it was that effective for me, and a lot of times I was already behind the 8 ball against my opposition, so using this card just didn't help me. And then the last card here is this Undercurrent Vantage. And the good thing here, the only good thing that I liked about this was the floating memory, which helped me materialize cards without having to actually, sacrifice cards. That's fine, but again, the good thing here is the distant. But I think that with the other 2 elements, fire and wind, I think I can kind of replace what I liked here and what I didn't like with the water, and still have a pretty effective deck. And then for the last part of this deck is the normal cards, and this is essentially the rest, the other. It's about half the deck, because like I said, you had a third in the Astra. You have another 20% is the water, and then the rest is your normal cards. And I think this is where I'm going to be making the most changes. A few of these cards that I probably will keep will be like Etheric Calibration, because I think that one is helpful for me because it allows me to glimpse my cards. Backstep I want to keep because of the fact that in this deck with Diana, it's beneficial to have her go distant. So I am going to keep that because of the fact that she goes distant. This one, Charge the Soul, is another card that I like because of the fact that I can do damage to my opponent, and then I can load this as an Ether Charge spell, and it has floating memory. Idle Thoughts is one that I probably will get rid of. It's just a standard play card. It lets you look at your deck and then put them back in any order. I don't necessarily need that if I have some of the other glimpsing cards. Prudent Knock is helpful as a charge card, but if I have other cards that I can kind of replace it, this is one that I probably will swap. Reposition is another one that I want to keep because, again, it keeps me distant. And then the last one of the normal deck is this Stalwart Shieldmate. She's good as just as a taunt, and she takes damage for Diana, but I think for me, I'm probably going to try to be more aggressive, so I'm going to probably not use these ones. So of that, I'm eliminating, 4, 7, 11 cards from the normal that I'm going to be taking out. I'm going to be taking out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14 of the water cards. So right there, you've got about just over 20 cards that I'm going to be taking out of this deck, and I'm going to be swapping them. So let me kind of pause the video for just a second and kind of show you what I plan on doing as my way of upgrading this deck. All right. So we're back, and now I'm going to show you my deck that I plan on using, at least for the next time I'm playing Grand Archive. And my decision was to go with a fire element usage here. So let's start off with my material deck. Starting off with, of course, Spirit of Fire. I haven't changed anything with Diana here. I still plan on using all 3 levels. I swapped the previous water Ether Wing weapon for this one. This is the Salamander's Breath. So Diana bonus, on attack you may banish up to X fire element cards from your graveyard, where X is the amount of ether charge cards in the attacker's intent. This attack gets +1 for each card banished this way. So I think for this card, what I like about it is that I can probably save this for a little bit later. I can, use some of the fire cards, which I'll show that I'm going to have in my deck. I can load those up into another weapon, use them, and then I can load this up with either normal cards or some other, in this case it would be normal cards. I would load them up, and then I can take the fire cards that I've got, I can then banish them, and then that'll give this an extra attack. So I think that'll be really helpful. For the rest of the material cards, I kept it relatively the same. I'm still having Fort Sight Lens, still keeping Ranger Boots, keeping Reflexo Ribbon, the Seeker's Ether Ring. The 2 cards that I am going to be adding, the first is Trivariate Dream. This is a card that someone played against me a couple of weeks ago, and this card was devastating. The key here is that on attack, if there are exactly 3 ether charge cards in the attacker's intent, this attack gets a +3. So if Diana's distant, she gets the +1, plus the 3 weapons, plus then up 3 on this. You're essentially getting 3 hits. Sorry, you're hitting an enemy for 9. You're hitting your opponent for 9 on 1 turn. And with 3 durability, you can essentially finish them off with just this 1 weapon if you really want to. And if it's timed correctly, it does require loading properly, loading timing, and you're going to have a couple of turns where you're not going to be able to attack with this weapon, but it's something where if I have this plus another weapon, I can use the other weapon, fire with that, and then with this one, save it up and then attack, save it up, attack, save it up and attack, depending on how fast I am. But again, the way I'm building this deck is I do want to kind of work fast. I'm going to try to be more aggressive. So this one might not be as useful as I'm thinking it is, but for now I do want to keep it and try it out at least. Then the other weapon that I'm going to have is this Pallades Celestial Genesis. That one again hasn't changed. But then what I'm adding into this is this backup charger. This was given to me for free by one of the people that I play with at the local game store. This kind of does replace the other card that I had where you are just drawing a card with this one, but at least this one, I am not allowing my opponent to draw a card. I'm drawing it on my own. This is kind of counterintuitive because there are some cards later on that I'm going to show that have the ability, the effect that both players draw cards, so it's kind of redundant in a sake, but I just want to have this just in case. It might not be a card that I use, but it's good to have. So those are going to be my cards for my material deck, and now I'm going to kind of show you what I plan on using for my actual main deck. All right, so this is my 60 card main deck that I'm going to be using, at least for the next time I play Grand Archive in a couple of days' time against other players. I've kind of split it up into different sections. I've got here the original starter cards that I used that were in the deck originally. So you've got the normal cards and your Aster cards here. I've got my fire because these are all new. And then the cards that I'm adding are going to be here. So I've got my normal and the 2 Aster cards that I'm using. I'm not going to go through extensively what I removed from both the normal and Aster decks. I removed a couple of cards here and there. There are a couple of similar cards that I'm adding that I kind of don't need to duplicate. I am still trying my best to have as many distant activating cards available, so I've kept as what I can in that regard. So of the normal cards, what I've done here is I've kept the following. Let me just wait for it to zoom in. Okay, so we're still keeping the Etheric calibration. That hasn't changed. I'm keeping Charge the Soul just because I do want something that can cause damage and that also has floating memory. So I want to keep that involved, keep that in my hand because again, I do want to have that floating memory to help me with materializing. I've got Reposition, although I've got a couple of more repositioning cards or reposition-like cards in my new cards as well. I just want to again keep this one because of the fact that it does have the class bonus Floating Memories. So those are the cards that I'm keeping. The cards that I've added to my deck, we start off with one of the few, actually I'm pretty sure this might be my only actual like allies that I've got in this deck. I've got Alacritious Huntress. I'm apologizing if I'm saying that wrong. For her, she is a rare card, so she has a range 2, so as long as she's distant, she gets a +2 bonus on attack. With her, when I'm entering, I can reveal an Ether Charge card from my hand. I can either discard it or load it into my Ether Ring weapon. So this is essentially, for 3 cost, I'm getting to also load a weapon with another card that I've got in my hand, so that's why I want to have that. So I've got 2 of those in my collection, so I'm going to have that. Now starts my some of the other cards I've got. So I'm adding 4 of Backdash. What this one does is that when Diana is at either level 2 or above, so level 2 or 3, I can draw a card on enter, and then but I can only do that if she's at level 2 or higher. If she doesn't, the only thing that this card does is that it makes her distant. And again, I do want to have distant cards because again, it gives Diana that +1 attack, so it's very helpful to have. So I've got 4 of those. Then I've got this one. I was kind of debating to have or not, but I want to try it out. It's durability counters. It's the Fortifying Mana Shot. What this does is that I can add 2 durability counters to an Ether Ring weapon, and then I can load this onto that weapon that I control. I want to see how this one works. I'm also kind of tempted to maybe decrease this because I've got 4 of these. This one I might only need to use 2 of these, so I might, after some thought, maybe I'll change this one out, take 2 of these out and put 2 of something else in. I'll kind of see what it is, but this is one that I want to try out, see how it works, but I want to have 4 just because it's more likely to happen. And again, with some of the weapons that I've got, this could be very helpful. Next is Evasive Positioning. So this is another card that will allow me to distance Diana, but at the same time I can prevent 2 damage. So if someone's attacking my Diana, my champion, I can play this card, protect her for at least 2 damage, and then make her distant so that on my turn I can retaliate. So that I've got 4 of those, and that one I'm hopeful is going to be effective. And then the last card I've got that I'm adding from the normal cards is Resonant Ether. And for this one, all it does is that it just gives me a +1 on my attacks if she's level 2 or higher. So if I'm getting into the late game and I've got this card available, it's only a 1 cost card. I can bring it in. It's a 2 cost. It's a 2 attack hit. So at least I can do a little bit more damage if I'm at that stage. This is more of a late game player, but I definitely want to have it around. All right, continuing on. Now let me show you the fire cards that I'm going to be using with my deck. Starting off here with, just zoom in a little bit better. I'm going to start off with Flickering Cinder. This card deals 1 damage to a target unit. When I do that, my champion becomes distant. This one I can't load into an Ether weapon, but because it's a fire card, this later on with the fire Ether charge card weapon that I have can be very effective. I've got 4 of those, so I'll be having that in. I'll be using those. Then I've got Furnace Lava Bolt, and this is the one that I was saying earlier that was kind of redundant by removing the draw card, because this one, each player draws a card. So it does, because of the class bonus, Diana, so rather than it costing 3, it's only going to cost me 2, but I can load it in, so I can draw a card. Yes, my opponent will get the draw card as well, but I'm still able to load this into a weapon, and then I'll get the 1+1 attack. For that one, I've also got 4 of those. Then I've got Infernal Mana Streak. This is the only other, that's one I have 3 of. For this one, it's a deal 2 damage to a target unit. If my champion is distant, he gets to deal 3 damage. So again, if I can combine this with another card where Diana becomes distant, then I can attack with this one, gets 3 damage, because again, like I don't have to load that in. It's later on I can load it in and then I get that 1 attack. So in theory, this is a 4-hit card if done correctly. Maybe in 5-hit, because if she's distant, it gets the +1 on some cards. So I've got 3 of those. And then the last card I've got here is Mana Flare Barrage. And this one will cost, it's a 5-cost card, but because I'll be using Diana and she'll have the same class bonus, it'll cost 2 less. This one damages 2 to everybody except my champion. But if my champion's distant, everyone will get 3 damage. So because my deck is I have no, like, I only have one ally card in my deck. This could be very effective. Unfortunately, I only have one of these. I didn't look to see if I can maybe buy a few more of these anywhere, like through singles, but this one I think could be a massive game changer. If I can use this at the right time, where I can attack my opponent for 3 and take out some of their cards, especially if they have a lot of allies. If I can do damage to all of them, that's huge. So this one is something I want to hopefully get to use. Because it's only one card in a 60 card deck, it's going to be a little bit hard to pull off. But if I can get it working, or if I can use it at the right time, this can be a game changer. But at the same time, I do want to kind of research this card a little bit more and see if I can maybe get a few more of these in the future. And finally, let's take a look at the Aster cards that I'll be using in my deck. I'm going to start off with the cards that I'm keeping. These are all from the starter deck. I kept everything, but I did reduce a couple of the cards. So if there were 3 or 4, I've reduced them down to 3 or to 2, just so I can add a couple of the other cards from the other side of this deck. So I can have a little bit more fire cards and then add the 2 cards that I am going to be adding to the Aster deck. So I'm keeping 3 Astrocytes. I've got 3 Constellation's Blessings. 4 Constellation's Blessings. Then I'm keeping I only have 2 Guided Starlight, 2 Meteoric Volley. I'm pretty sure this is where I dropped one. Poised Oculation, I'm only going to have 2. I think I dropped 2 there. And then finishing it off with 3 Sidrill Spell Shots. And then the 2 cards that I am adding are it's just one card. It's going to be this Aethercloak Sentinel. The reason why I'm including this one is because I like what it does. Aethercloak Sentinel is ranged 4 with Spell Shot and Taunt. So the Taunt is good because he'll be able to protect. And this is probably going to be a card that I'm going to play late game. So if I'm at that point where I've already used up those fire cards that I was mentioning earlier, I can bring him on and he can at least protect me for the time being, because again, with 4 health, it's very helpful. And what I like here is because this is a late game card, I can load an Ether card charge from my graveyard or my hand. This is most likely where I'm going to use the graveyard aspect of this, and because I can do that, I can then I can draw a card from my hand this way. So this is going to be an effective card late game, and I'm really looking forward to trying this out. So that is my deck that I'm going to try out at the next Grand Archive game night that I attend. For this one, again, this is a new game for me, so I'm still learning. I like what I have here. I do have a few more cards that I've got here on the side that I've kind of saved up. I've got a couple of cards that I picked up that I might try out in the future. I also do have more than enough to try a wind deck. I've got some pretty decent cards here. So fire isn't my set in stone. It is just that I'm going to try it this week and see how it turns out. I will definitely share my results in the next video, and I will definitely I look forward to trying this out. I hope I can at least implement the strategies I'm looking at. At the same time, I have kind of spoiled my strategy in this video, so if anyone from my LGS sees this video in advance of Tuesday's game night, they will know what I'm playing, but at the same time, maybe I will learn a few things. But that's what I've got for this week's video. Definitely, if you have any comments or any suggestions or anything that you noticed that maybe I should or shouldn't do, please feel free to leave them in the comments, and I hope to see you next week. Thanks again. Bye, everybody.